Welcome back, everybody. Today we're taking a deep dive into something I think we all want. A little more focus, a little more productivity, and you know what? We're going to see if an ancient Buddhist practice called Shamatha
Hmm.
might just hold the keys to unlocking that. We'll be exploring excerpts from B. Alan Wallace's book,
Okay.
The Attention Revolution, to see if this practice, which he calls a contemplative technology,
Interesting.
is as transformative as it sounds.
It is fascinating that he uses the word technology, isn't it?
Right.
I mean, we usually think of gadgets and devices, not,
Yeah.
meditation cushions and all that.
Right.
But, in a sense, technology is just a tool, right? It's a way to
Mhm.
refine a capacity
Mhm.
and enhance it. Shamatha is kind of like that. It's a very systematic approach
Mhm.
to training attention, almost like strength training for the mind.
Oh, I like that. And speaking of strength training, you mentioned you wanted to feel less reactive
Oh, yeah.
to daily stressors, right?
Absolutely.
And that's something I struggle with too. And this is where it gets really interesting. In the shamatha practice, there's a stage called pacified attention.
Okay.
It's the sixth stage, and it's where the power of negative thoughts and emotions are significantly diminished.
Wow.
Just imagine feeling less overwhelmed by everything that's coming at you every single day.
That would be incredible. And, it's not just about feeling calmer either.
Right.
Achieving genuine shamatha is about developing a really profound level of stability and clarity in the mind. In fact, Wallace points out that it's actually incredibly rare to find
Wow.
even among very dedicated practitioners.
So if it's so beneficial, why do you think it's so uncommon?
Well,
What makes it so difficult to achieve?
it's definitely a journey, not a quick fix.
Hmm.
It's almost like leveling up in a skill-based video game.
Right.
Each of the 9 stages of shamatha practice
Hmm.
builds on the one before it, leading to greater stability, more vividness of attention, and fewer
Wow.
mental distractions.
So it's like building a muscle. It takes
Mhm.
time and effort to
Yeah.
get there. So let's talk about these stages. What's it actually like
Okay.
to progress through them?
Well, each stage represents a really noticeable shift
Okay.
in your relationship to your thoughts and emotions.
Okay.
So, for example, by the time you get to the 6th stage, this pacified attention,
Hmm.
you're just not as easily thrown off balance by those, negative thoughts and emotions.
Right.
They kind of lose their grip on you a little bit.
Okay. I love that. Now I have to ask about something that really stood out to me in the readings.
Okay.
Dream yoga.
Yes.
Wallace describes it as using shamatha train awareness in the dream state.
Yeah,
Now, I know that you've been exploring dream practices for a while now.
I have. Yeah,
Did you find any connections between the two in your experience?
definitely. Dream yoga, as Wallace describes it, is a lot more than just lucid dreaming.
Oh, okay.
It's about recognizing the fluid nature of consciousness itself. And you've always been really
I have.
interested in that concept.
Yeah, for sure.
Tibetan Buddhists believe that falling asleep, dreaming, and waking up are actually really similar
Wow.
to the processes of death, the intermediate state and rebirth.
That puts things in a whole new perspective.
It does, doesn't it?
So it's not just about having, fun with lucid dreaming.
Right.
It's about preparing for
Yeah.
these larger transitions in life.
Precisely. It's about getting familiar with the very nature of your consciousness
Hmm.
and realizing that even experiences that seem really solid and real,
Yeah.
like dreams, are ultimately fluid and impermanent.
That's powerful. And it sounds like this awareness that you cultivate in dream yoga,
Yeah.
it can lead to some physical changes as well, right?
Yes. Some shamatha practitioners report feeling a kind of pressure on the top of their head,
Interesting.
which is traditionally interpreted as a movement of vital energies, what they call prana, in the
Okay.
body. And you're familiar with Reiki.
I am.
And
Okay.
this is a very similar sensation to the flow of energy that people experience in those practices.
Oh, wow. I never made that connection before.
Yeah.
So it's almost like reaching a state of deep focus through shamatha
Hmm.
is like reaching a new level of physical fitness, but for
Yeah.
the mind.
Yeah. Like mental and physical pliancy.
Okay.
Your mind becomes more adaptable, more resilient, and less prone to being
Wow.
thrown off balance.
I can see how that would be unbelievably beneficial
Right.
in our world, which just feels so chaotic and overwhelming a lot of the time.
It does.
So it's not just about achieving this incredible mental focus, but also about how that focus
Yeah.
translates into real tangible benefits for our physical and mental well-being.
Absolutely. It's about how cultivating a stable and focused mind can ripple outwards into every aspect of your life.
I love that.
And that includes things like better sleep, improved concentration, and just a greater sense of ease
Yeah.
in your daily activities.
I think a lot of people, might assume that a practice as intense as shamatha requires some sort of,
Yeah.
big lifestyle change. Like,
Yep.
you have to go live in a cave and be a monk.
It's true that intensive retreats can be really helpful for making progress.
Yeah.
But the beauty of shamatha is that you don't have to renounce the world to practice it.
Right.
You can actually integrate this practice into your everyday life.
Okay.
It's really about cultivating that quality of attention that you can bring to any moment, whether you're meditating, working, eating, or even just hanging out with friends.
So it's not about escaping from the world.
Right.
It's about engaging with it in
Exactly.
a more mindful way.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you, I really struggle with being present.
I think we all do.
In a world that's full of so many distractions,
Yeah.
how does shamatha help with that?
Well, that's the real challenge, isn't it?
It is.
To be present even when things are difficult or unpleasant.
Right.
It takes real mental strength.
Hmm.
Shamatha helps you develop that fortitude
Okay.
to break free from that kind of reactive cycle. Yeah. It helps you cultivate a more spacious and balanced awareness.
I get that. It's so easy to get distracted,
It is.
to get wrapped up in your thoughts and emotions, especially when
Yeah.
things aren't going my way.
Yeah, well, our minds are wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain.
Right.
That's why it's so easy for us to get distracted by anything that's either pleasant or stimulating or, threatening.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But Shamatha helps us cultivate that more spacious awareness.
I love that. It's almost like we're taming a wild horse.
That's a great analogy.
It takes time, consistency, and
Yep.
skillful guidance.
Yeah.
There are going to be moments of resistance, times when we get, distracted or
Yeah.
discouraged. But the key is to keep coming back to the practice, to gently redirect our attention,
Yeah.
and to trust the process.
I think that's really important for anyone who's just starting out with meditation.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in self-judgment, right? Like, oh, I'm not doing it right.
Right.
My mind's wandering.
Yeah.
I'm getting frustrated. But that's just the mind doing what the mind does.
It is.
The real practice is in noticing those distractions.
Right.
And gently bringing your attention back to whatever you're focusing on.
Yeah, it's like we're developing a mental muscle.
Exactly.
We're strengthening our capacity for attention with each repetition.
Precisely. And just like physical exercise, the more you do it, the stronger and more resilient your attention becomes.
Okay.
And this increased capacity for attention has such a profound impact on your whole life.
Speaking of impact, can we talk a little bit more about the benefits of shamatha
Sure.
in our daily lives? I mean, beyond the obvious, improvements in focus and concentration.
Well, Shamatha can help you develop a much deeper sense of self-awareness.
Okay.
By training yourself to observe how your own mind works,
Right.
you become more attuned to your thoughts, your emotions, and your motivations,
Okay.
which can be incredibly empowering.
So it's not just about calming the mind.
Right.
It's about understanding it.
Exactly. It's like having an inner laboratory where
Wow.
you can just observe your mind in action.
Right.
You see how your thoughts and emotions arise and pass away. And this understanding helps you make more conscious and skillful choices in your life.
That's a great point. A lot of the suffering that we experience comes from not seeing things clearly.
Exactly.
We get caught up in our own stories and interpretations.
Yeah.
Shamatha helps us develop a more objective and spacious awareness so we can see things as they really are
Yeah.
without all the mental baggage.
And that clarity can be so freeing.
I bet.
It frees you from that grip of your own limited perspective.
Right.
And lets you connect with the world in a more genuine and meaningful way.
So it's about cultivating this mental balance,
Yeah.
a state of equanimity that allows us to navigate the challenges of life
Right.
with more ease and grace.
It's not about becoming an emotionless robot or anything like that. It's about developing those inner resources to meet those challenges with wisdom and compassion
Right.
without getting swept away by them.
It's like building this inner strength that allows us to be present with whatever arises without losing ourselves.
Exactly.
And that strength has a ripple effect on our relationships with others as well, doesn't it?
Absolutely. As you become more grounded and centered in yourself, you're less likely to project your own insecurities and expectations onto other people.
Right.
You're able to listen with more genuine empathy and understanding.
So shamatha can actually enhance our capacity for connection
Yeah.
and compassion.
When you're not caught up in all your self-centered thoughts and emotions,
Mm,
you're more available to truly see other people for who they are without judgment.
yeah. I love that. It's fascinating how a practice that seems so focused on individual
Yeah.
mental development
Hmm.
can have such profound implications for
Yeah.
our relationships and how we interact with the world.
It's a reminder that we're not these isolated beings. We're
Yeah.
all interconnected,
Right.
and our internal states really affect everyone around us.
I'm reminded of that quote from the Dalai Lama.
Oh, yeah.
If you want others to be happy, practice compassion.
Mm,
If you want to be happy, practice compassion.
that's a beautiful quote.
It's a really profound insight, and it highlights the importance of cultivating
Yeah.
those qualities of mind that lead to greater well-being,
Hmm.
both for ourselves and for others.
Exactly.
And it sounds like Shamatha offers a really powerful path for doing just that.
It does.
It's amazing to think that something as simple as paying attention
Right.
can have such a profound impact on our lives and on the world around us.
It's true.
But how do we actually do it? Are there any specific techniques or methods we can use to cultivate
Yes.
this kind of attention?
Absolutely. There's a whole variety of methods,
Okay.
each with his own approach and benefits.
Okay.
One of the most common and probably the most accessible is mindfulness of breathing.
Oh, mindfulness of breathing. I've heard a lot about that. Can you tell us a little bit more about how it works?
Sure. Mindfulness of breathing is essentially bringing your full attention
Okay.
to the sensations of your breath as it enters and leaves the body.
Okay.
It sounds really simple,
Yeah.
but it can be pretty challenging because our minds are so used to wandering all over the place.
So it's not just about breathing deeply.
Yeah.
It's about paying close attention to the subtle sensations.
Exactly. The breath becomes an anchor for your attention.
Okay.
It's a focal point that helps you train the mind to be present.
Okay.
As you practice, you'll start to notice those really subtle nuances of the breath. The coolness as you inhale,
Right.
the warmth as you exhale,
Yeah.
the gentle rise and fall of your abdomen.
I can imagine it takes a lot of patience
It does.
and persistence to train the mind to stay focused on something
Mm-hmm.
as subtle as the breath. I tried mindfulness of breathing once, and my mind felt like
Yeah.
a monkey on a trampoline.
That's a very common experience.
Okay, good.
It's totally natural for your mind to wander.
Mm-hmm.
The key is to just notice when it does and gently guide it back to the breath
Okay.
without judgment.
So it's a gentle process. It's not about forcing the mind to be still.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As you practice, you'll find that your mind gradually becomes more settled,
Okay.
more focused. You'll start to develop greater sensitivity to your own inner experience.
Mm-hmm.
You become more aware of your thoughts, your emotions, and your bodily sensations.
Right.
And you learn to observe them with a sense of detachment without getting swept away by them.
It sounds like mindfulness of breathing is like a gateway practice,
Mm.
a foundation for developing that stable and focused attention that's so essential for Shamatha.
Yes, it's a great way to train your mind to be more present, more aware,
Mm-hmm.
and more resilient when facing those challenges that life inevitably throws at us.
Now, are there other techniques for developing Shamatha
Oh, yeah.
besides mindfulness of breathing?
There are lots of other methods. Some of them involve focusing on an external object, like a candle flame or a visual image,
Mm-hmm.
while others involve working with more subtle energy centers within the body.
Wow.
The best technique really depends on, your individual temperament
Right.
and often the guidance of a qualified teacher.
So it's important to find a practice that resonates with you
Yeah.
and to seek guidance from someone who's experienced in these methods.
It's always helpful to have a guide, especially when you're navigating those more subtle aspects of Shamatha practice.
Right.
A good teacher can help you tailor the practice to your individual needs
Mm-hmm.
and offer support when you run into challenges.
And I imagine that having a supportive community
Yeah,
can also be really beneficial,
it really can.
especially when the practice gets challenging.
Yeah, connecting with other people who are on a similar path
Mm-hmm.
can be so encouraging and inspiring.
Right.
It gives you a sense of shared purpose.
Okay.
It reminds you that you're not alone on this journey.
It's inspiring to think that something as simple as paying attention can be such a powerful tool for personal transformation
Yeah,
and for creating a more peaceful and compassionate world.
it's a reminder that the most profound revolutions often begin within.
It's amazing to think about how these ancient practices like Shamatha are still so relevant in our modern world.
Thanks,
Like,
Carol.
it's like they offer these valuable tools for navigating all the complexities of life today.
I think that's especially true when you consider, you know,
Yeah.
the epidemic of distraction that we're facing these days.
Oh, absolutely.
It feels like our attention spans are shrinking with
Right.
all the technology around us.
Exactly. It's like the world is constantly competing for our attention.
Yeah.
Notifications, email, social media.
Mm.
No wonder people feel so overwhelmed and scattered all the time.
Right.
It's exhausting.
It is. And that constant bombardment, it really takes a toll.
Yeah.
It fragments our attention, makes it harder to focus, to think clearly,
Yeah.
to connect with ourselves and with others.
I know for me, when I'm constantly switching between tasks and checking my phone,
Right.
I just feel drained and less productive overall.
Yeah.
It's like my mind is being pulled in 1,000 different directions.
And that fragmentation leads to some serious consequences.
Oh, yeah.
Stress, anxiety, even depression.
Wow.
It affects our ability to learn to be creative, to build strong relationships.
So Shamatha is not just about, you know, achieving this blissful state of mind.
Right.
It's about addressing a real problem
Absolutely.
that we're facing in our society.
By cultivating that stable and focused mind, we can reclaim our attention. We gain control over our mental and emotional lives.
Yeah.
Just imagine being able to filter out all the noise and distractions
Yeah.
and truly prioritize what really matters.
That would be life-changing.
It would.
It sounds like Shamatha is like an antidote
Yeah.
to that digital overwhelm that so many of us are experiencing.
It's about finding that balance, you know?
Right.
You don't have to completely reject technology, but you can learn to use it more wisely and skillfully.
Okay.
Shamatha helps prevent technology from hijacking your attention
Right.
and controlling your life.
We become the master of our own minds
Yeah,
instead of slaves to our devices.
Yeah, I like that.
And this mastery extends beyond just the digital world, doesn't it?
Of course. Shamatha can help you navigate all sorts of challenges, dealing with difficult emotions, making tough decisions, or just staying present in the middle of chaos.
It's about building that resilience,
Right.
that ability to weather the storms of life without getting completely swept away.
And that resilience isn't just good for you as an individual. It's
Yeah.
good for society as a whole.
I can see that. If more people had that stability and focus, imagine the positive impact it
So-
could have on the world.
Think about it. If more people cultivated those qualities of mind that Shamatha encourages,
Yeah,
attention, stability, compassion, wisdom,
right.
that could lead to some real positive change.
We'd be creating a more mindful and compassionate society.
Exactly.
People would be more likely to make decisions that benefit everyone,
Yeah.
not just themselves.
They'd be more empathetic,
Yeah.
better communicators, more cooperative, more focused on working together toward common goals.
Yeah.
Those are the qualities we need to solve the really big challenges that we're facing.
It's like Shamatha could be a tool for things like conflict resolution or even promoting environmental sustainability.
Yeah.
It goes way beyond just personal growth.
The challenges that we face as a global society need more than just technological solutions.
Right.
We need a fundamental shift in consciousness.
Okay.
We need more awareness, compassion, and wisdom.
Right.
And I think these contemplative practices like Shamatha
Yeah.
can play a really crucial role in making that shift happen.
It's pretty inspiring to think about how cultivating these qualities of mind could have such a ripple effect on the world. It all starts with something so simple. Paying attention.
It all starts with being present, seeing clearly, and acting with wisdom and compassion. And Shamatha gives us the path and the tools to do that.
It's a really empowering message.
It is.
And one that I think everyone can connect with.
I believe that these practices can help bridge the divides between us,
Yeah.
create more understanding and connection, and ultimately lead to a more peaceful and just world.
That gives me hope.
That's what Shamatha is all about.
Yeah.
Cultivating hope and the possibility of a better world.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive.
It has.
Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us.
My pleasure. I hope it encourages others to explore Shamatha and its potential for transformation.
To all our listeners, we encourage you to keep exploring,
Yes.
dive into the world of contemplative practice, and discover the incredible potential that lies within each of you.
Remember, it all begins with paying attention.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll
Yeah.
see you next time.